There has been a myth. Chiron in astrology is not just about pain, not just about suffering. Your Chiron placement, especially by house, is actually the core of your confidence wound. The invisible scar shaping your self-worth, how visible you are to others, your identity, your inner narrative, and chances are you probably haven't heard the full truth about your Chiron yet. And that's what we're gonna get into in this video. Chiron doesn't show up like your sun sign. It's not loud. It's not obvious. It kind of whispers, but when it does show up, it will affect and echo through every single part of our life. That's why it's a big deal to understand it and heal it so we can get our confidence back. When you feel like you're too broken to turn the page and start a new chapter in your life, when you keep giving your power away, when you shrink around the people who intimidate, when you're pushing people away, terrified that they're gonna see the version of you that's still hurt, still wounded, that's Chiron. It's not just in your head, it's in your body, it's in your story. If you don't know where Chiron is, that is totally okay. You can just calculate it online for free. I like to use astro charts. You're just gonna need your exact birth time and then look for the small symbol that looks like a K with a circle under it. That's Chiron. Just note down what house it's in and then use that to follow along for this video. Before we dive into each of the 12 houses, I want to give this disclaimer. Chiron doesn't lie, it doesn't sugarcoat, and we're not doing surface level astrology here. Chiron is a vulnerable place in our chart. The part that feels like it never quite got what it needed or it didn't get enough of what it needed. That part of you can get a little jealous, a little resentful, impulsive, and that part can sabotage or hide just to try and feel safe. And depending on where Chiron sits in your chart, especially the house, it can show you how this wound shaped your present, your sense of purpose, your self-image, your relationships, and your ability to trust yourself. Some of this might feel a little advanced if you're a beginner in astrology. You might not catch every term, every reference, and that is completely okay. You don't have to be a full-time astrologer to understand this or to feel the benefits of this video. You just need to listen to yourself, your intuition, as you're hearing these descriptions, because beneath every single house placement, there is a thread. And it's asking you to look at parts of yourself you've maybe been afraid to acknowledge, not to fix them, not to erase them, but start healing with them, working with them instead of against it. We're not just going to dive into the textbook meaning of Chiron. We're going to talk about the stuff that most astrology skips over, the patterns, the protection mechanisms, the fear of being seen, the desire to be free in yourself, the desire to feel confident. This video is for the people who are tired of getting stuck in the same cycles and who want to break out of it. The people who ask, why do I feel this way and no one else seems to? The people who show up really strong on the outside but exhausted on the inside. This is for the ones who want to heal that part of themselves that has always felt like too much or not enough. We're going to break it down in a very digestible, easy, clear way. And you're going to walk away not only understanding yourself better, but knowing how to support your healing too. All of the timestamps will be in the description, and we're going to start with Chiron in the first house. There is an invisible pressure with Chiron in the first house. Like you always have to be more and do more to feel like you are enough. From the second you entered this world, maybe there was messaging from your parents, from society, from social media, spoken or unspoken, that you just weren't allowed to express yourself freely. Like you had to be better. Like you weren't allowed to just be who you were. This could have been around your personality, your body, the way you talk, your energy. Something about you was questioned, it was shaped, it was maybe even controlled by those around you. And that cut really deep. People with Chiron in the first house carry this quiet ache of, who am I allowed to be? How can I show up and be accepted? How do I show up to feel like I'm enough? They might come off really strong and bold on the outside, but inside there's often this sense of self-doubt, a fear that their true self is somehow not valid or not wanted, not powerful enough to stand on its own. So this is the wound of not feeling like you can just be. You feel better when you're doing something, when you're achieving. It's hard for you to feel like I can just be and feel accepted, because Chiron in the first makes you question your power. You could wrestle with visibility, either trying to hide behind the scenes, never raising your hand in class, or always trying to be the excitement to lift up people's energy and be the fun person in the room. You might feel like your presence alone isn't enough, like you need to overcompensate to be noticed or respected. So maybe you learned how to shapeshift, how to show up in different ways for different people in different situations, to speak less, to speak more, whatever it took to be accepted. Some people with this placement could have grown up in hostile home environments. Others could have been body shamed, teased for their appearance, bullied, or made to feel like them existing was an inconvenience. And that pain doesn't always scream. It's not always super noticeable. Sometimes it just stays in your body, it sinks into your presence, and then you start to see the world through this lens, seeing yourself as flawed, unworthy, replaceable. But here's what most people miss when they talk about Chiron in the first house, is underneath all of that pain is a deep power. You guys are born with a kind of presence that can't be faked. It's real, it's felt. And once you reclaim that presence, you become magnetic. You might ask yourself often, what would happen if I stopped people pleasing? What if I just stopped trying to prove myself? What if I just showed up as me? You might notice yourself asking these questions along your journey. Lean into that, journal about it, because this can be the way for you to reconnect with that identity, that self that you've been hiding and pushing to the side. The healing will start for you when you stop trying to fix yourself and you start honoring yourself and your personality. People with this placement often become deep healers for others as well, because they know what it's like to not be seen. They know what it's like to be told who they should be, what they should be, what they should be doing. And because of that, they learn how to hold a space for others that's very authentic, very raw, very real, more vulnerable. And you guys could still feel the urge to disappear sometimes, to just escape, go off on your own, to stay behind the scenes, to feel a sense of safety and protection. But there is a lot of power in your guys' visibility. When you guys are vulnerable, when you're showing up, even when you're afraid, that is how you begin to heal. Some beliefs for you guys to take on is that your presence isn't too much. Your emotions aren't too loud. Your identity is not a mistake. Chiron in the first house is meant to be seen, but there's that fear of being seen. Allow yourself to connect to who you really are, your belief systems, your appearance, the way you talk, and show up in that way and stop trying to dim yourself, which is easier said than done, but this is how you begin to tap into the power and heal this Chiron placement. If you guys haven't already watched the part 1 where I go through Chiron and all of the signs, go ahead and watch that and pair it with this video so you can understand your wound better. I also talk about the 6-step healing process with Chiron in that video, so it's going to go really in depth for you guys. I love you so much. Comment your experience with this placement, and I'll see you in the next video. Let's talk about Chiron in the second house. This is the wound of self-worth. It's this painful question you guys may carry of, do I have value? Am I even valuable? This wound really sits on our heart. It's not just about money and wealth and material items like the second house is usually portrayed. It's also about how we value ourselves, how we see ourselves. You guys may feel like no matter how much you do, how much you get done, how much money you make, it's never enough. Maybe you guys try and work twice as hard to be taken seriously, to feel like you're respected. Maybe you're comparing yourself with others, measuring what they have versus what you have, and you always feel like you're coming up short. You might have grown up around scarcity. If not financially, it could have been emotionally. Not feeling like you had emotional support, not feeling like you had that rock, that person you could always depend on and lean on. Or you just didn't have enough money to pay for school, or to pay for food, to pay for bills. Or you were in a really rich neighborhood and you felt like you didn't have as much as the people around you. Or maybe you felt like in your environment, you had to do things to earn respect, to earn love. Like it wasn't enough to just be yourself. You had to do chores, or you had to be of service to your parents, drive your siblings around in order to feel like you were appreciated by your family. Maybe if you didn't perform some sort of role, if you didn't have the right clothes, the right body, the right grades, you felt disposable. Maybe even invisible. There's often a pain story around your resources. Maybe you were the kid that never got a birthday party thrown for them. You never got the vacation that you wanted to go on. You couldn't afford the school trips you had to hang back. You saw others in abundance and you lived in comparison, a sense of scarcity. But here's the part that most people miss. Chiron in the second house is not just about money. It is about meaning. It's a beginning to believe that you are worthy of receiving. This is the biggest block. Once you guys are able to get over this, abundance will flow in for you because it becomes your greatest strength. Right now, or maybe in the past, you overcompensated by chasing wealth, approval, status. Or you could go the other way completely, where you just reject the material world. You're like, I don't need that. And you start resenting the physical world. You start resenting material items. You try and live with less. You start to resent the people who follow the beauty trends, who try and work out and get their dream body, who try and live up to the standards that other people set. But underneath it all, no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, this placement is asking, can I value myself even when no one else does? And this one can really show up in relationships and in our body. The way you feed your body, the way you criticize it or comfort it. It might feel like you're never beautiful enough, never disciplined enough, never quite worthy of admiration. But the truth is you guys are, and you just can't see it because of how you grew up and because of this placement. The gift that you guys have is you know what it's like to go without it, what it's like to feel unseen, and it makes you unbelievably sensitive to what others need. You are meant to use this experience, this pain, to help others see their value when they can't see it, when they're blindsided, to help others see that they are valuable not because of what they have, but because of who they are. But first, it's about learning to give that acceptance and that gift to yourself. This isn't about fixing your bank account or buying luxury skincare. It's about understanding and truly believing that your existence is valuable. You are allowed to ask for what you need. You are allowed to take up space with your voice and your body and your presence. Your voice deserves space. Your body is sacred even when you don't feel like it's perfect. Healing here means learning how to receive. Let someone pour into you, give you compliments without feeling guilty or trying to reflect it back right away. Let people gift you things. Allow yourself to rest. Believe that you deserve rest. Trust that love doesn't have to be earned and your worth isn't determined by your output. The way to reclaim this power is knowing that you are valuable and teaching others how to value themselves as well. If you guys haven't already, watch the part 1 where I go through Chiron and every single zodiac sign, because this will give you more clarity and it'll be more specific for how this wound shows up in your life. I love you so much and we'll see you in the next video. Let's talk about Chiron in the 3rd house, the wound of expression. This wound is going to live in your voice, how you speak, how you express yourself, how you share your story, whether or not you're going to raise your hand in class, whether or not you're going to speak up at the meeting. Because this isn't just about you speaking, it's about whether or not you feel heard when you do share your voice. Chiron in the 3rd house people often grew up feeling misunderstood, quieted, or overlooked. Like maybe you had a sibling who got all of the attention, you were the middle child. Maybe you were told to be seen and not heard. You were just quieted. People didn't want to hear your voice. Maybe you felt like you were disrupting the events that you guys went out to. Or maybe no one ever checked in with you on how you felt. No one asked about your emotions, so you just kept quiet. This placement can feel like walking around with a lump in your throat. And I really recommend throat chakra work for this, like experimenting with meditations around the throat chakra, using mantras for the throat chakra, because you feel like you just gulped down your feeling. You kept it inside your body and you kept yourself quiet, holding these truths inside of you because no one ever gave you the space to express them. You could have been teased for the way you spoke, talked over, ignored, or simply felt like no one was really listening to what you had to say. So you learned to stay on the surface, to talk about things that were safe, to overthink your wording, how you were going to construct the sentence, how you were going to deliver the message, and then keeping the real stuff tucked away, deep down where no one can challenge it. Here is what most people miss. You guys are brilliant. You come up with these ideas that no one else has. You're able to connect ideas together faster than others, see things that other people miss, hear things that others don't catch. You could be a phenomenal writer, teacher, speaker, but your voice maybe got buried under all of this shape. And this placement often keeps asking, is what I have to say even worth hearing? Yes, it is worth hearing, but here's the thing. You have to say it even if your voice shakes, even if you stumble, even if it's awkward at first or you're scared that it's not going to come out right. Because guys, your words matter, your ideas matter, your thoughts matter, your feelings. And when you speak from that real place, your truth, your authenticity, even if it still hurts, it will really land and heal people in a way that you don't expect. You may find yourself drawn to healing other people or speaking, teaching, interpreting, counseling, because you know what it's like to not feel heard and you don't want others to feel the same way. But don't forget, you're not just here to amplify other people's voice, you're also here to amplify yours. Healing means reclaiming your narrative. It means learning to talk about the things that once silenced you, becoming the person you needed when you were younger, someone who listens, someone who has patience, who encourages others to speak, who encourages yourself to speak. You guys can start small. Say what you really mean to a close friend, or post it online, or journal about it. Ask more questions, raise your hand, write things out, share the stories and the life experiences you've been through. It's about building trust in your voice once again. Because what you have to say is not just important, it's actually really powerful. And part of your purpose in this lifetime is freely expressing yourself and helping others do the same. And also, if you guys haven't seen part 1, go ahead and watch that because it dives into every single sign. So you can pair the house meaning with the sign meaning and get a lot more specific, personalized insight when you do this. I love you so much. I'll see you in the next video. Chiron in the 4th house. So this is the wound of belonging. The wound of feeling like home never felt like home. You never felt like you had your roots there. You weren't comfortable. You couldn't just relax and take a deep breath out. This can often show up in the heart space where love should have been safe. Your childhood should have been nurturing. But instead, there was tension, there was silence. You didn't get the nurturing you needed. You didn't feel comfortable. There could have been rejection, abandonment, or love that came with a price tag. Like you had to show up as someone else. You had to give something up in order to earn or receive love. This is the wound of emotional invisibility. Maybe you were the peacemaker in the family or the quiet one, the one who made yourself small to avoid being too much. You could have sacrificed your needs, you could have swallowed your feelings down, self-soothed with food, nice fabrics, comfortable items, purchasing things in the material world, tiptoed through relationships just to keep the peace, trying not to rattle the boat with your true, authentic feelings. And underneath all of this is this ache and this question of, if I show up as who I really am, will I still belong? There's often a deep yearning to be held, to feel like you belong, to feel rooted. And the key here is to find the people that feel like home to you, who won't walk away when you're crying, when you're expressing how you feel, when you're angry, when you're going through the whole spectrum of emotions, sadness, guilt, whatever it is. But here's the secret about this placement that most people don't talk about. Chiron in the fourth house gives you a spiritual sensitivity. But this sensitivity can feel like a burden. You absorb the emotions of others. You care so deeply. You want to heal other people. You want to heal your friends, your family, your ancestors, because you could feel their pain and you want to help them get over it. But sometimes through doing that, you forget to care for yourself, to soothe yourself in the process. Or you might stay in a toxic relationship just to avoid the fear of being alone. The big part of your journey is becoming authentic, knowing that you deserve to be loved, not for the role you play, but for who you are. You don't have to keep holding everyone else together. You don't have to carry pain that doesn't belong to you. Your healing begins when you start giving yourself the emotional nourishment you were missing and that you always crave from others. When you stop searching for a home, for a house outside of yourself, searching for a place to root yourself down, and you instead build this place, build an inner sanctuary for yourself. You could become the healer of your lineage, the one who breaks cycles, who redefines what family really means, not based on blood connection, but on the emotional safety one receives in their family, resonance, connection, building family through community, through friendship circles, and not just through blood lineage. I really want you guys to express gratitude for the version of yourself that survived through all of that, whatever you went through. And now let that version rest, because home is not a place. It's the feeling of being safe inside your own self. And you guys are allowed to have that. I love you so much. If you haven't already watched the part 1 where I go through Chiron and every single sign, go ahead and watch that video. I have it posted. And I will see you in the next video. All right, Chiron in the 5th house. This is the wound of radiance. It often asks, is it safe for me to be seen in my joy? Chiron in the 5th house carries a wound of self-expression. You were born to shine, to take up space, to be seen, but somewhere along the way, you were dim. Maybe someone told you were too loud, too much, too dramatic. Or maybe your creativity was never taken seriously. Like you created this whole art project and you took a couple hours, you gave it to your caregivers, you gave it to a friend, and they just threw it away or they tossed it to the side. Maybe you were only praised when you performed, when you fit a mold, instead of when you were real, when you were drawing outside the lines. So there's a grief here, a grief for the child who wanted to play, who wanted to dance, to love freely, but then learned it wasn't safe, that love had rules, fun had consequences, that self-expression had to be art. So now you could hold yourself back. For example, caring deeply about a situation or a project, but making jokes to lighten the mood so people can't sense how you're truly feeling. Downplaying your wins so no one thinks you're arrogant. You could have a very vibrant, powerful, exciting, joyful soul, but you wear this mask to dim it down in the presence of others. Because you fear if you show up as your full radiant self, you'll just get rejected. What most people don't talk about with Chiron in the 5th house is you guys have this inner child who never got to just be and enjoy and indulge in the innocence of childhood. You had to grow up too fast, take care of others, hide your sparkle, hide your excitement. But that part of you is still there. It's just waiting to be seen and tapped into again. There's just been a lot of programming and conditioning and situations that have piled on all of these covers, these masks that have disconnected you from that energy. You could really think that your talents are not good enough, not original enough, not worthy enough to be seen, to be admired. Or you could even have pain connected to actual children, your own children or others' children, parenting wounds, fear of connecting with kids, thinking that you'll never be joyful, playful, and spontaneous again. But this does not mean that you are broken or something is wrong with you. This is the placement of the secret artist. You guys do have a gift. You doubt your magic and your creativity, but when no one is looking, you guys create some incredible things. Whatever art form you're into, whether it's content creation, it's painting, it's singing, you guys create beautiful magic within your pieces. But the block here is performing and hiding those true talents, hiding what you really want to express. Maybe you perform very brave on the stage in someone else's role, but then you cry in the background wishing you could express who you truly are. So here's the truth. You were never too much. You were never not enough. You were just a really bright kid and someone dimmed your light before you were able to learn how to protect it. Your healing begins when you start daring to express yourself again, no matter what people are saying, no matter what the comment section is. Sing the song, post the art, post the video, plan the outfit, fall in love with the joyfulness and the creativity that you have. Part of your mission on this earth is to bring joy back into people's lives again. And that starts with reclaiming your passion, your purpose, your play for yourself. You are really going to help people heal their wound around freedom of expression. I love you guys so much. If you haven't already watched part 1, I go through Chiron in every single sign. So watch that video to get more specific understanding and guidance for your Chiron wound. And I will see you in the next video. Chiron in the 6th house, the wound of worthiness through work. This wound says you're only as valuable as your output. This can show up in daily life, like your habits, your workout routine, your health, your commute to work even. But underneath all of this is a core feeling, no matter how hard I try, it's never enough. You may have grown up around intense expectations and standards. Maybe you're the responsible one, the perfectionist, the one who got things done, who showed up and held steady while everyone else fell apart in the chaos. You guys learned to cope through overachieving, control, and order. So you begin to feel safe in life when things are productive, when they're clean, when they're tidy. That is how you feel comfortable, how you self-soothe. But it's also a trap because when you stop doing, let's say you get injured and you can't show up to work. Let's say you get sick or you're in a position of weakness where you can't perform. Your worth kind of disappears because you were tying it to these things, to active pursuits, instead of tying your worth to who you are. People often battle with anxiety, health issues, burnout. You try to do everything right, but you still feel like you're falling short. You could be hyper aware of your flaws, nitpicking every single part of yourself, not just in your productivity, but also your body, your health, your image. You see everything that can be refined, improved, and be better. Like this invisible checklist in the back of your mind of all the ways that you can improve and be a better version of yourself. But here is what most people don't realize and talk about. Chiron in the 6th house is also the wound of being used. Being the helper, the fixer, the reliable one, who never felt safe asking for help themselves. They were always the one who did it for everybody else. So how could they come to someone else and be, can you help me with this? Can you do this for me? They tied their worth to this archetype of always having it together, always being the one that others can come to. So you overserve others, stay late at the office, work overtime, say yes to tasks when you really just want to say no. When you really mean no, I'm empty, I'm drained, I don't have anything left. A part of you still says yes for some reason because you could confuse being needed with being loved. But your healing starts when you stop treating yourself like a machine. You could have had a teacher or a mentor in your life who just crushed your confidence. You could have struggled with neurodivergence, chronic illness, eating disorders, or learning differences and then internalize those struggles as failures when really they were just challenges. They weren't you failing. And now you can notice even when you're succeeding, even if you're in first place, second place, or you're rising up, you see a gradual increase in your performance, in your achievements, in your success, in your money. You still feel like it's not enough. You're not here to strive for perfection. You guys are here to be whole within yourselves. This wound teaches humility, but if you're not careful, it can also teach self-punishment. You might be so hard on yourself that receiving love feels uncomfortable. You might not know how to rest without guilt. Part of your power in this life is learning how to say no, how to rest, how to treat your body and care for yourself, how to believe you're enough even when you're not doing anything. Knowing you don't need to fix everything. You heal when you learn how to receive love without performing for it. When you build routines that nourish your spirit, your energy, not just to strive for a goal. You heal when you get to the point where you can say, this is enough for today. Let your service to others come from being overfilled rather than from a place of emptiness. Your soul is not here just to check boxes. Your purpose is to love, to serve, and to thrive in your body and make it feel like it's a home for yourself. Guys, I love you so much. If you haven't already, watch the part 1 where I go into Chiron and every single sign. That's going to be really helpful for getting more specific guidance. We want to look at the house, the sign, the aspects, all of that. I love you so much and I'll see you in the next video. Chiron in the 7th house is the wound of connection. Do I lose myself when I love someone else? If you guys have this, it hits right in your relationships. Romantic, platonic, you guys crave connection, but it often comes with
pain. You might merge too quickly or lose your boundaries just to feel like you're loved. Overserve the person, give as much as you can because you think that's how I'm going to be loved. Or you could also, on the other side, hold back, be guarded, unsure if anyone will love the real you if you express yourself, or shrinking so someone else can feel bigger. This is the wound of compromise, but taken too far. Libra energy, because Libra is connected to the seventh house, is so good at lifting up others and taking care of them, being there for them. But sometimes seventh house energy can fall into the background and become the supporting character. And it's about balancing the scales. You guys could get so good at being needed that you forget what you need yourself. You might say all the right things, show up in all the right ways, yet still feel unseen because deep down you're asking, if I show up as who I really am, will you still stay? If you grew up with this placement, you often grew up witnessing difficult situations, difficult relationships. Maybe one parent dominated the other. Maybe love felt unsafe, manipulative, or controlling. And now, as an adult, you could find yourself attracting similar dynamics where love becomes a performance and vulnerability becomes a risk. Here's the secret that most people miss though. You guys are not bad at love. You just learned how to love in a space where you were surviving instead of feeling like you were thriving. This doesn't mean that you're doomed in love. Sometimes I get clients and they're like, oh, I have Chiron in the seventh house. Does this mean that I'm never going to find my true relationship? I'm never going to heal and feel like loved? That is not accurate. It means you're just being asked to learn a very difficult lesson, how to be whole in yourself and still let someone else in. You guys are incredibly empathetic. You feel so deeply, but that same sensitivity can make you bend too much because you just want to give all you can to the other person to make them feel better, to treat their needs, to treat their wounds. And eventually this can turn into resentment because you give so much of yourself that you lose yourself in the process. And it turns into loneliness instead of closeness, into thinking that maybe love isn't safe after all. But it really can be safe for you, not when you abandon yourself, but when you return to yourself. Your healing begins when you stand in your truth, your authenticity, your values, even if someone else walks away. When you stop auditioning for love and you start asking, if I stop trying to be perfect for them, will they still love me? That is the right question to ask yourself. And when you do, it'll lead you to the right people, the right relationships in business, friendships, partnerships, whatever it is. Relationships are a mirror, they're not finish lines. And your gift here is to teach others how to love deeply in a relationship without disappearing, to stand tall in who they are while still opening their heart full. Because love isn't about merging with someone else. It's about rising together and healing together and growing together, not becoming one, not sacrificing yourself to be with one another, not sacrificing your opinions and your desires. This is a beautiful placement, and you are capable of having an amazing love relationship and amazing relationships in general. It's just about working with this wound, healing it, integrating it. If you guys haven't already watched Chiron through all of the signs, I already have part 1 posted because that will give you more insight into how it shows up in your life specifically. And I do a 6-stage process on healing it in the video, so go ahead and watch it. I love you so much. I'll see you in the next one. So Chiron in the 8th house is the wound of trust and power. This wound sounds like, who can I trust with my truth? This is not a surface level wound. It's definitely something that resides a little bit deeper and maybe the shadows of who we are, the parts that we don't want to share, we don't want to talk about, we're a little scared to admit, the parts of you that feel dangerous to reveal, because this is a wound around betrayal, abandonment, secrets, and shame. The fear that if someone really saw you, your pain, your past, your deepest desires, then they would just leave, that they'd run away. And this is a serious wound because you could have gone through a situation where you were violated, manipulated, or used for what you had to offer, punished for being too vulnerable. The 8th house in astrology is about intimacy, sex, shared power, death, and rebirth. And for you, this can show up as carrying guilt, some sense of shame that you took on growing up that you were never meant to carry, or even learning a secret that changed the way you saw yourself. This wound says, don't get too close to me, it won't be safe. But underneath all of this armor, this protection, is a desire to merge with someone, to be authentic with someone, to trust, to surrender, to be loved and held for your raw, authentic truth, and not be destroyed by admitting what happened, by admitting the shame, the secrets, the desires that you are afraid to share with others. People with this placement often develop a 6th sense. Like, you can read people without even trying. You sense when the energy shifts in a room, things that you can't really explain. You spot lies, you can sense manipulation. Like, you're a lie detector. And you probably have this because you had to. Like, you went through situations in childhood or growing up in your environment where this became a survival mechanism. If you didn't do this, you wouldn't get through it. And you learned early on that not everyone has good intentions. So now you protect yourself. You're worried that same thing is going to happen or something similar, and then you lock others out without giving them a chance. But here's the secret about Chiron in the 8th house that people don't normally talk about. This gives you access to the truth beneath the truth. You guys are not just intuitive, you are transformational. Your presence can bring people to their knees in the best way, okay? Your presence can transform people, transform their perspective in the best way because you've sat with your own darkness, your own pain, the things you didn't want to admit. So now you can hold space for others to do the same. But first, to get to that point, you have to hold yourself with compassion first. You're not here to suffer in silence. You are here to reclaim your power and understand power isn't control. It's honesty, it's sovereignty, it's discernment with who you give your energy to, not paranoia. Healing means forgiving what tried to break you or who tried to break you, not because it was okay, but because you don't deserve to carry around that pain with you your whole life. You deserve to feel free from it, to feel like you can start another chapter and you can have a different outcome. You guys could become a guide for others through grief, trauma, taboo, shadow work, not because you're unscathed by all of it, but because you're honest about your scars. You're honest about what you went through and your pain. This is the wound that turns pain into alchemy, trauma into transformation. You guys are not cursed. You really become a medicine for other people as well who have been through similar. And guys, it's super important that you also understand what sign your Chiron is in. So I have a part 1 posted. Go ahead and watch that so you can get more personalized guidance of how this shows up, how to use it. And I have a 6-part explanation at the start of the video on how to work with your Chiron. So it's super digestible, super practical. I love you so much. Comment your experience with this placement and I'll see you in the next video. All right, everybody, let's talk about Chiron in the 9th house, the wound of belief. This wound whispers, is it safe to believe in something bigger than me? Chiron in the 9th house strikes at our heart of faith, not just spiritual faith, but like faith in life, faith in me, faith in our path, in a greater purpose, faith that we're going to be okay, like everything's going to work out. Our belief systems. You could have grown up in a family where beliefs were really rigid. It could have been political, religious. Religion could have been used as a weapon to get you to do certain things, to prevent you from doing others, and it made you feel disempowered instead of empowered. Curiosity could have also been punished in your household if you asked too many questions, if you tried to learn something that was a little more taboo or off the beaten path, where asking why something worked made you wrong. Maybe you questioned the religion, you questioned the beliefs, the politics, and you got in trouble for it. On the other token, you could have never been told what to believe as a child, and you grew up with this painful emptiness. No one gave you a framework for how to make sense of the world. You may have felt like the black sheep or someone who couldn't buy into what others believed. The one who looked around and was like, this can't be all there is. Like, there has to be more. There must be something bigger. And when you expressed your truth, your perception, your dream, your vision, you were mocked or you were shut down. Like, that can't happen. You're dreaming too big. That's not reality. It could have made you feel naive for even trying to believe in anything at all. So now you might overcompensate or over-intellectualize, trying to prove that your ideas are valid. You build complex belief systems to protect yourself from feeling lost in the world. On the flip side, you could also just be done with it, shut down beliefs altogether, preventing yourself from dreaming. But here's the key that most people miss about Chiron in the 9th. This is not here to give you answers. This wound is here to guide you towards deeper questions. You guys are seekers, philosophers, map makers of unseen truths in the world. Like, you're meant to explore, expand, to walk the map yourself, to explore it and take the adventure for your own sake, not just give up your mind and believe what others are saying. You're here to question, to try it out yourself, to explore, is there really any? You guys don't need a pre-approved theology. You don't need society to co-sign your vision. You just need the courage to follow what feels true in your body, your gut, what you're passionate about. Your wisdom will come from experience, from traveling, from exposure to different people, backgrounds, cultures, from living a wild, curious life. But be careful, because sometimes this wound can make people become preachers. Like, you find your truth and you want to give it to everyone else. You believe your truth is the real truth. And you try and like gift wrap it as a fix for other people. Oh, you're going through this? This is my truth. How can I present it in a way that'll make you believe that it's real? You guys aren't here to convert other people to believing your truth and your reality and what feels right for you. You're here to inspire them. You could teach, write, speak, or create systems that help others discover their own belief system. But first, you have to know your own beliefs and trust them even if no one else does. This placement teaches you to build your truth from the ashes of what failed you, to see meaning in things even when it appears as meaningless, to start believing in things again and dreaming again. You're not here to follow something that was already set for you. You are here to make the path for yourself. Guys, and if you haven't already, watch the part 1. I go into Chiron in every single zodiac sign. That'll give you more personalized guidance and clarity. I also break down Chiron's healing process into 6 steps in order to integrate it, get your confidence back, and really feel like you can use this information in a practical way. So go ahead and watch it. I love you so much. Leave me a comment on your experience, and I'll see you in the next video. Let's talk about Chiron in the 10th house, the wound of visibility and purpose. This wound wonders, will I ever be enough in the eyes of the world? Chiron in the 10th house runs deep into our career, our calling, and our contribution. If you have this, you want to be someone. There is an ache that you want to be seen, you want to be visible. But no matter what you do, it still feels like you're falling short in some way. This is the wound of public presence, or feeling like your achievements don't measure up. Chasing validation that stays just out of reach. Maybe you were the kid who always tried to win approval from their parents, from people around them, trying to win on the sports team, get first place, to get the best grades. Maybe you were told that your dreams were too much or not realistic. You could have been pushed to succeed in a path that you never chose, like going to Harvard, doing everything right to get the perfect application sent. So now, even when you succeed, you downplay it. You feel like an imposter in your own accomplishments. You might struggle with authority figures, either craving authority or distrusting it, or both at the same time. Like you trust certain authority figures, but you don't trust others. You guys want to lead, but at the same time, the thought of being watched, judged, or seen makes you freeze in fear, worried about what they're going to say, what they might think, but you want to be a leader, you want that position. So here's the thing that most people don't understand about Chiron in the 10th house. It's not just about career and legacy. It's about whether or not your life will mean something. You guys don't just want success, you want significance, but your path feels blocked. You might compare yourself constantly, start a project, and then abandon it, feeling like everyone else has it all figured out except for you. But healing does not come from proving yourself and getting a project done. It comes from redefining success on your own terms instead of subscribing to an outside definition. This wound often pushes people to become late bloomers. But when you do arrive, it's like your work carries weight, like you built a legacy. So it's the slow success over time where you're building steadily. And when you get to that place, it's like, whoa, you're on a mountain. Like it's like you've climbed a mountain and you're at the top. And on that mountain, your work matters. You've left a legacy and you genuinely helped people. You guys really are here to lead, but not from a place of performance, instead a place of presence. You could guide others through mentorship, coaching work, spiritual work, creative leadership, but only once you've learned how to honor your own rhythm, to stop punishing yourself for not being there yet, to stop comparing yourself. You guys don't need to be famous to be impactful. There might be a belief that you have to have a bunch of different followers or you have to have a lot of money. Sometimes your presence in one person's life changes the entire trajectory of theirs. This visibility wound is very painful, it's real, but it's not a curse. You guys are meant to be seen. This isn't something that you're going to be cursed with forever. It's only after you see yourself clearly, though, that you will be seen. And guys, if you haven't already, watch part 1 where I talk about Chiron in every single sign, because you need to match the sign in the house to get more personalized guidance and understand how this shows up. I love you so much. Leave me a comment of how this is showing up for you in your life, and I will see you in the next video. All right, everybody, let's talk about Chiron in the 11th house, the wound of belonging. If you have this placement, it's going to strike at your sense of community. Asking yourself, why do I always feel like the outsider? It can be in your friendships, your dreams, your place in the world. You just feel like you're not in the mix. You're not part of the community. You may have grown up always feeling like you're different, not cool enough, not normal enough. You might have been the kid who got bullied, left out, you were excluded. Even when you felt like you were part of the friend group, they singled you out. Like no matter how hard you tried, you were never fully seen by your peers. And even now as an adult, you could feel like you're a little too weird, too deep, too like you believe in things that are outside of the norm. You guys really deeply crave connection. But you start to feel so safe being alone because you went through that social rejection. This wound manifests as pretending to fit in, toning yourself down just to be accepted, and then resenting yourself and others for it. At the end of the day, you guys want to contribute to something bigger, to be included. But this wound says they won't get you, they will leave. So you stay on the edges, you stay alone so you feel safe, on the outskirts, looking inside, trying not to care about what's going on in the community, but still caring so much. Here's what most people don't realize about Chiron in the 11th, though. You're not here to fit in. You are here to create the space you never had. You are the friend who understands misfits, who understands outcasts, who is there and accepts other people for their weirdness, their creativity, their quirks. The leader who makes a room, a space for the weird people. The visionary who dares to dream about a better, more inclusive world. You could carry this pain around betrayal from friends, from being excluded without explanation, like something random happened you don't fully understand. A wound around finally opening up and then being mocked or bullied, misunderstood. And yet there's still a hope inside you. You want to find your soul tribe. You want to find the right people because you crave that connection. You crave that community. And that is possible. But the first step is to stop shrinking yourself. You don't have to be less spiritual, less smart, less emotional, less intense just to be liked. And also, you don't have to be liked by everyone. You just need to be recognized by the right people, the people who are aligned with you. Your healing comes from being seen as exactly who you are, no matter what space you're in, from speaking your truth in safe spaces, and from finding or building communities where being different is the whole point. And that's what brings people together. You guys are not here to follow the crowd. And the more you try and fit in and follow it, the more alone you're going to feel. You're really sure to inspire others to stand on your own stage, to show your weirdness, to show your quirks, and invite others to do the same. Your wound does not make you guys an outsider. It makes you someone who stands out in a way that can shine a light for others to do the same. It encourages individuality and accepts differences. And we need more of that in this world, to be honest. Please comment your experience with this placement. And if you haven't already watched part 1, go ahead. Let's talk about Chiron in the 12th house. This is the wound of the invisible self. It whispers, why do I feel like I don't exist? Chiron in the 12th house is more of a subtle pain. It doesn't scream at you. It lingers. It's a little bit haunting. The 12th house is very spiritual, subconscious, a little fuzzy. So this can show up in your thoughts, your dreams, your feelings. You may not even know why you hurt, but you feel heavy and disconnected from reality, like you're not fully here. This is a wound that could come from past lives, karma that lives in your unconscious, a pain that doesn't really have a name, but it's in your body, like you feel it and you just can't explain why. Maybe growing up you felt invisible, like no one saw the real you, or you were too sensitive for this world, too emotional, things affected you too much. So you learned how to disappear into daydreams, fantasy, reading your favorite novels, TV, silence, some element of escapism to feel more comfortable, to feel like you had a place to belong, so you felt seen. You could have coped through creativity, over giving to others to feel loved. But it was never, because there was this deep sadness that still lived on, where you felt things that others around you didn't. You absorbed emotions that weren't yours. And you guys probably have a crazy level of intuition, psychic awareness, but sometimes this intuition, being so tapped in, maybe even being a medium, being able to hear voices or clairvoyance or something like that, feels like it's too much. This is a wound that can feel like spiritual abandonment. Like, where is God? Why did this happen? Why do I feel so far from everyone, even myself? You could wrestle with existential despair, with depression, or feeling like life is just too loud, too much to bear, too painful, too confusing. But here is the secret. You guys are not broken. You are just someone who's very open and receptive to the energy around them. Chiron in the 12th gives you an access to divine compassion that not everyone has, to spiritual gifts that can't be taught, that you're born with, that you can't develop. You have this gift of healing that transcends logic, but to use it, you must come back to yourself first. You must ground. You must create rituals that anchor your soul to your body. You must stop escaping from the world, from your gifts, and start engaging with them, using your intuition, journaling about your dreams. You guys are not here to live in a fantasy. You're here to bring that spiritual heaven into the real world, to bring that love to others and to yourself on a physical level. Your healing begins when you stop identifying with the pain. You are not what happened to you. You are not the sadness, the trauma, the grief. You witnessed it, and now you can alchemize it. You guys could find a lot of healing through dream work, spiritual study, time in nature. Music could be a huge thing for you. Make sure you have a go-to playlist. Also, art therapy and serving others quietly behind the scenes. You might not want a lot of limelight and attention, but you do gain a lot of fulfillment from serving others from a place of love. Your gift here is to really bring softness into such a harsh world, to hold space for others when they have feelings they can't name either. To forgive what others can't understand, to know you are whole, you are connected, you are not lost, you are loved. Guys, let me know your experience with this placement, comment what resonated, what didn't, and if you haven't already, watch part 1 where I talk about Chiron in every single sign, because this could affect how relatable this feels for you, because if you have your Chiron in something like Aries, it can show up completely different. So go ahead and watch that video. I have it on my channel, and I love you so much. I'll see you in the next video.